G'day and welcome back for more Survival Impossible. My little goblin up there looks fully charged, which is handy because I'm going to be using it a lot today. I need to first get up there though, and I need to do some alterations to it because based on some comments you guys had and some thoughts that I've had since last week, I think there are a few things I can do to upgrade it quite considerably from what it is and make it a lot easier to build this thing. Because I'm going to be needing to use that little goblin a lot to make this thing functional. And probably to build the rest of this base, actually. Since I've now got enough power, I can fly something like that around and use it to place down a lot of the blocks. So, let's get a catwalk around to there from this set of stairs, if I can. Just barely. Place down these blocks. Oh, come on. No, don't be like this. No. I need to be able to place that block. Let's just do it this way. That's easier. So the upgrades that this needs. 1, it needs some lights. 2, I'm going to rotate the cockpit. 3, it's going to lose the connector. And instead of the connector is going to have a baby merge block. Because I kind of forgot they were a thing last week when I was building the connector on it. Because if I build a little baby merge block onto this hinge, ow, I wasn't expecting to get hurt from that, and I build a baby merge block onto here, that will work very nicely as a way to hook it up to the base and get power. So we'll get rid of the connector and let's grab merge blocks, grab the stuff for them. Yeah, these little 1x1 small grid merge blocks are awesome. While I'm doing the rest of this construction, I'll be able to hopefully keep this thing fully powered. So my plan would be to put the merge block down this end, as the merge block can then be my little step for getting up onto the top. There we are, that hinge is already locked. Let's get toggle on off for the merge block. And we're locked. We need to turn off our thrusters, go back onto recharge. There we are. That's going to be a much more compact way of having this thing locked down. Now, let's lose our air vent and our cockpit. The reason I want to lose the cockpit is because for the first time ever, I'm going to use the cockpit to place blocks down. Like, that special mode that I never ever ever use, I'm going to use it. I think now that I've got power, I've got no reason not to. Stick a little vent on the front. Stick an antenna in the middle because, as was pointed out, what am I going to do if I do accidentally fall out of this thing and I can't reach it? Because I'm not going to be able to move it down to me. Whereas if I put this on here and keep it broadcasting at, say, only 100 meters or maybe even just 50 meters, it's going to use very little power, but it should be enough to allow me to connect to everything because the top of the base is not 50 meters away. So there we go, we got the little goblin antenna and 50 meters is going to be plenty. Cool. The other thing I'm going to add, which I think was a really good suggestion that a lot of people gave me, it's to add a pair of magnetic locks. I'm going to add one to the side here, so if I want to lock on the side I can. And I'm going to add one to the front here so I can lock on with that as well. The idea behind sticking a magnetic lock on this thing is that it'll give me, hopefully, the ability to lock onto a surface quickly if I'm going to be doing a couple of little fiddly things for a while, and it'll save this thing from having to fly that whole time. So I can just lock onto a surface and save power that way, which I think is a really cool concept. It is very asymmetrical and the thrust is very much not centered on this thing. I think if I'd planned on putting the cockpit facing forwards, I would have done this slightly differently, but it is what it is now. And one little pad on the front. Man, I love not having landing gear be enormous things anymore. And one little pad on the side. A few people had suggested I put these on pistons, but I did some testing in single player, and although I wasn't getting drift, I was getting phantom forces with many of the positions I could have put a piston on this, and it was causing the whole thing to spin progressively, which is obviously not ideal for flight. And last thing to do, let's put these down the side here, because I think this could look nice. Okay, it would have looked nice if the game would let me weld these things right now. Grrrg. This is really annoying. I'm going to have to build some little welding craft over here, because there are going to be a lot of little things like that on the tram build that are going to be really frustrating if they don't get welded up. Just in case I end up landing this somewhere, I'm going to pop some of these down the side, I think. Just something flattish to land on. It'll rest on that and it'll rest on those thrusters, but if I put another set of this here, it'll at least look like it won't be resting on the delicate bits of the thruster. I know this is a bit of extra weight, and the more I greeble this, the more I add little bits, it does make it less efficient, but I do think there's a pretty good chance I'll be landing this on the ground at some point. And it'll be annoying if it tips over. I'm sure I could come up with a more compact design for this in the future. I think I'll probably iterate on this thing a few times. But it should be everything I need it to be now. I now need to load up the cockpit with a bunch of stuff. Construction components, interior plate, that sort of thing. Find my thruster group, toggle on off. So put them on and detach. Whoops. Recharge on off. There we go. I really hope that didn't break anything. But it does make me glad I built those skids, because they ended up being needed. Good job, Splits. Good job. Good job. So, the building mode that I almost never use. Control G. I'm now able to place stuff from within the cockpit. Let's first start by extending this track. And remembering that I didn't put lights on this thing and I probably should. Grr. Whoops. Lights first. Lights first. Shouldn't need spots on this, I'll just need to have some decent number of interior lights. Make sure I don't get in from front, I need to get in from here. So when I get out, I end up where I want to be. And now, back to what I was doing, which was extending this rail, because there's a decent chance, if I don't, I'm going to come off the end. Let's... Oh, I can't change my paint, because P is park. Okay, fine. I need to do this. P. That. Now get back in. Now, we build. Out from the rail. Building like I have a jetpack. If I'd had power all that long ago, I probably would have used this building method more, but in some ways I deliberately avoided building this way from within a cockpit because it's quite an easy solution. However, you do still need a way to get around, because if I place down something I don't want, I can't grind stuff off from this view. So I can place blocks, but I can't get rid of them. Which means I still need the little tray in the back of this thing so that I don't end up, well, in a situation where I can't get rid of something I need to. And I reckon this will probably be far enough. I'm going to put a little stopper on this because several people suggested that I do that, and I think it's a good idea. That stopper will hopefully prevent me from getting off the end unintentionally. There we go. We have slightly longer rails. And since we've got slightly longer rails, let's do the supports like I was planning. Because it does look a bit silly with them just floating out there. So yes, much simpler way, oops, of building things. It does take a little getting used to, because it's kind of like having a completely different jetpack again. But really a very convenient way of building, even with my limitations in Survival Impossible. I'd almost be willing to say a bit too convenient. Right there. And if I go to third person and make sure I line myself up, I should be able to hop out, hurt myself, be really glad that I took people's advice and put the control in, because I could have sworn I got in from the front, but I guess I didn't. I'm in from the back, just before. That was not what I meant to do. Right, let's do this again. Back up we go. I'm so lucky I didn't hurt myself badly then. Vent. It is not set to depressurize. There we go. My O2 levels were getting low. Now, hop out onto the back, get my welder out, build this, and turn it red. Because as people were saying, there's no red port left. So the red goes on the left, I think. And I don't want this particularly intense, I just want it kind of dull. I just want it enough that you can see that there's something on that there's a post there. And then we'll put a green one on this side. Someone more familiar with lighting setups, you can tell me if what I'm doing here is weird. But I think from a distance this could look quite cool. Yeah, nice and simple. On to the more interesting part of the build, which is getting this thing up and set up as it's supposed to be, which is going to involve a fair bit of work. So I've been thinking about this conveyor line on the side and I hate it. I really, really don't like where it is. So I want to move it and I want to pipe this thing all from the top. The idea that I came up with was make this conveyor, make this cargo container, I should say, in the center a bit more chunky so that I can build some big supports for it, make it look nice and robust, like it's strong enough to take the winch forces that's going to generate. And in that connection to the top, the piping is going to hide itself. Well, potentially look like part of it as well. And that way there'll be sort of three dangling sections. There'll be this front section with the cargoes, the middle section with the winch, and this rear section with the cargoes and the cockpit area. And instead of having the cockpit entered from the side, I'm going to have it enter from behind. So you'll walk in underneath the connectors, as I think that's going to make a lot more sense and reduce the chances of me getting into the cockpit from the wrong place. The other idea that people suggested to me, which I did quite like, was to just cover the side of this in panels, which would work quite well. If I just covered that in panels, I wouldn't be able to get in. But I think preventing it altogether, because I can't even get to that point, is probably an even more robust solution. So I might start off with this thing, making it chunkier. I had thought of putting an O2H2 gen on here. I don't know how I'm going to end up painting this thing in the future, but I am going to have to paint it. I'm not sure what to do with that yet. And then I thought maybe a hydrogen engine on each side. So one here and one around here. Kind of want a small hydrogen tank for each of these engines. Since the O2H2 gens are not going to be enough to produce enough hydrogen for the engines to run at full steam, they're more of a backup system, so they won't run most of the time. They'll be off nearly all the time once the engines are fueled up and once these tanks are full. So it's just a backup system. So I'm thinking a tank there, because I would have to put two conveyors in anyway, and a tank there. Then nice little conveyor loops like this. And you can see how that's already going to be quite a bit more chunky. Then I think what I should probably do first is build the secondary attachment so that I can replace that conveyor linkage. Oh dear. I just realized something. These are still on auto lock. So I'm not using any power right now. There's that. I think I'm going to need to hop out and maybe reverse in here because I can't quite get to the positions I need to be in. This is another reason why I want both methods of control with this thing. Having it as just a construct from the cockpit point of view would be limiting. There we are. Especially as the next job to do is actually grind these things off, but I probably want to get myself in a better position for that. I'm going to need to move the tram more out into the open for some of this construction. That's still not far enough back. I don't feel safe. What if I go back in there? Oh man! It's too close to the roof. Oh, that's right. Got to remember that the orientation of the remote control is wonky compared to the cockpit. Oops. I guess that makes some of it easier. So then just pipe straight down. And be very careful not to cut away my floor. Much as I'm loving having a flying platform to do this stuff from, it's also terrifying me. This is also high risk, but needed to happen. Okay, add an antenna. I feel like this spot in between the cargo containers might be a reasonable place for it. Although equally I could put it somewhere up the top, but I can't get to up the top right now. Because I'm underneath the station platform area, I can't actually put anything up there, which is why I want to move that out in the first place. Oh! This isn't the goblin anymore, that's right. Sorry, just slight distraction. Although this name is going to get removed from this because I use the merge block to lock down, I was given a really cool name for this, the Splat-form. Which has already proven accurate, given that I've hurt myself falling off it several times already. There we go, Splat-form, merge block. And we have an antenna. Let's get it out into the open a bit more so we can work on the top as well, because I need to climb up the top and do a bunch of stuff up there. This bit slightly scares me. There's a lot of work I think I'm going to need to do on top here to make this conveyoring function as I intended. So if I pop this down here and I lock on, no longer using any power, I can hop out the back, then I should, in theory, be able to jump over there. But I'm actually further away than I thought I was. So let's get in much closer to make that jump slightly less horrifying. Alright, don't fall. Seriously, Splitsy, do not fall. I've got the cargo containers hanging off the ends here with small ports hanging out the back, so I should be able to connect up to them and bring the pipes over the top. I'm so gonna fall and die from here. I can feel it now, but I can't think of a better way to get this stuff built because I don't think I can easily do it from that cockpit. And I think this is one of the few bits of this build I can do on foot. So I want to save the cockpit builds for the stuff that I really can't do this way. Like it's not just through terror and being a chicken that I can't build them. Thought what I'd do is bring this to the middle for this bit. Or do I want to just bring it down the side? If I put a junction there and a corner. The reason I put the junction there is because I like using corners for corners. Because they look kind of nice. It adds some extra interest. Corner and straight section. If I do that, then this should be able to come straight down along this beam all the way to where the centerpiece will be. And that'd be another small conveyor junction on top. Gee, welding this up is going to be a tricky endeavor. This is horrifying. I'm almost getting vertigo right now. This is just not... I'm not okay with this. I'm not the best with heights in the real world. And this is bringing back some serious bad vibes. Okay. I know it's not needed, but I want this. No, I'm one plate short. This so takes me back to my parkour efforts early on in this series. Those were at slightly, well, considerably less dizzying heights than what I'm doing right now. This junction one that I'm standing on right now, the reason I put that there is I like these things to look anchored, and neither the straight sections nor the curves actually touch any of the blocks around them, so those junctions are the anchoring blocks. They're what actually make this thing feel real to me. And so that's why I feel that they're important to put down. And I need some steel plate to do what I want to do next. Uh-oh. I shouldn't have done that.
Low health.
Ow! I really shouldn't have done that. I can't believe I didn't just die then. Oh, I should have flown down to the ground. I should have known better. Why did I... Arrgh. Oh, that was dumb. That was so dumb. Alright, let's fly the thing back down because I'm going to need it down here now anyway to get myself back up there. And I might take up a bunch of motors and stuff so I can weld up all those things. Splat-form control. We need switch lock. We need switch lock. We need toggle on off. Oh, I just realized Steve's perspective means I can't... I can't get a third-person view of my fall just then. I think he'd see me fall through, but not actually hit the ground, which is a pity. Oh well. I'm very hesitant to try and do anything that would attach me to the tram itself. Given it's got subgrids galore, I fear that doing so would end badly. So we'll try and lock onto the rail whenever possible. So many conveyors. I could make this so much more efficiently, but then it would look so much less cool. Just thinking, imagine someone in the real world doing this sort of thing. Oh, horrifying. I might want to lock on the back too. I'm really liking building with the Splat-form. It's super convenient. I just kind of wish that I had a bit more storage capacity on it, because I'm going to need to make a lot of these conveyors and it takes a lot of motors. And I can't really carry that many when its capacity for storage is about the same as my own personal. So it's kind of just double, which is not very much. I'm not sure how much I would want to add a lot of extra storage to it though, because it'd really need to be either a connector or a medium cargo container to be anything useful. That should be all the stuff I need to do climbing around up here, unless I want to add some extra bracing somewhere. I think I might put something through here, like between those two beams. Something just to make it feel a bit more robust, given that the conveyor is resting on top of it. It'll also nicely cover up the junction onto junction bit that I've done there, which I think is a good thing. So it's not a look I am particularly fond of. I hope I can get back up from where I am right now. Slightly concerned that may not be feasible. Although, once I place these blocks down, I may not be able to fall in that gap, so I could just try and jump up onto this little ledge. Okay, and... Yep, we're good. And for
Energy
this side,
low.
I was hoping I could walk up here and not do what I was about to do, because that would have resulted in the rotor falling off. Do that, and we hop down on the rail and grind out this bit. There we go. The other part I should be able to access from below. It's just this top bit's pretty hard to get at from below.
Energy critical.
Oh dear. Critical energy is not good when I am in such a delicate position. This feels further away than the other side. 1, 2, 3. Oh. Oh. Okay, that felt like something was about to go real bad. And in. And power. And breathe. Oh, God. This is actually making me uncomfortable. Building this way is genuinely making me uncomfortable. I wish I'd done all this piping when I still had that platform nicely underneath me before I'd built any of the hinge mechanism. Oh. Oh! Pressed the wrong key. Was meaning to press C. Press Z. That could have been bad. That was quite the sudden drop. Oh. There we are. 4 cargo containers all conveyed up down this end. Now we just need to build the linkage down the other end and build those containers, and this thing has all its necessary functional parts, but you should know by now that that's not enough for me. I am tempted to use it once I've got it to that stage, because it would be nice to get a bit of extra power on the base. And it might be a good opportunity to get a bit more charge onto the Splat-form. One little conveyor frame that I just keep forgetting to bring the right parts for. Just snuck in here. There we go. These two. And we should be fully piped through. Now, the piping from this thing here up to the top isn't done, But that's not actually strictly necessary because it pipes back through the other side. I might still try and place down the blocks though, since I'm here. Oh, that was a bit rough. It was quite rough. I'm having great difficulty picking where to put Steve for these things. Because this build is quite difficult to get one nice view of. There we go though. Piping all done. 3 minutes when I'm moving. Okay, I've got a little bit of time. Just a little bit. What I might do is I'm going to tear off the back end of this so that I can access it the way that I intend to and rebuild this platform because it's going to be a block higher than it currently is. Oh great, and I'm thirsty now. That's just obnoxious. Grr. Keep my health up by being in this cockpit. Place these. I can move the thing back. I can plug this in. Get its charge up while I'm doing some ice drilling. Okay, let's plug in. 1 minute of power. That's bad. Whoa, whoops. Rushing because I'm also getting hurt from my thirst. Okay, we're locked. Thrusters off. Recharge on. Out of hop. Let's go get some water. Oakley dokley. How long are you going to take to charge these batteries? It's up to 14% already. Gonna take 16 minutes. That's not too bad. Let's remote control this sucker back to the station. Oh no, I can only look up and down, that's right. I'm gonna have to stop there. Turn. Lift, go. Control. And back we go. All the way. All the way. And... gentle, gentle. Locked. I was messing around creating a base for doing a tutorial. And I started making these cross-beam supports and I was like, I need to use more of those on my mining thingamajiggy. Uh-oh. Ouch. Ouch, 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 ouch. Looks like this is kind of all I'm going to be able to do. It turns out. I really need to be able to get underneath this and that's going to require the Splat-form, so let's just do a little mining trip. Haven't put my camera in yet. I need to do that. Haven't put my script on for the LCDs either. That's something I need to do too. But let's do this thing. I reckon we'll be able to get a full plunge out of this thing now that I've got 8 cargo containers on it. Question is whether I'll be able to drive back afterwards. Feel like this thing is going to be quite adequate in terms of its mining capabilities with 8 large cargo containers. Even though they're small grid, that's a pretty big load of ice compared to what I've become accustomed to with my materials handling in this series. I'm not used to having that much of an abundance of something. I'm gonna come back with like, it's 26,000 per. I'm gonna come back with probably 220,000 kilos of ice. That's awesome. Well, there we go, we can sort of see through there. Watching the drill jiggle about. Makes the hole slightly larger. So I'm okay with it. I don't need to stop all the jiggle. I was expecting to have hit rock by now. The ice is actually really, really thick. Oh, okay, the drills are full. Alright, we're done. This could be a problem. Let's see if it is though. 5 and retract. Should be fine initially. The trouble is going to be once I've got the coil onto the outer bit, because I'm going to have less torque to grab, to twist with the heavy drills at that point. But 294,000 kilos, so I probably want to be a bit lighter than that when I stop drilling each time. Because otherwise the drills are going to be full. At least until I get an LCD set up, and then I'll have it set up so that I've got, when the cargo hits 100% I know, and I can just stop at that point immediately. So there's not enough cargo on board the base for all this ice. Ah! Ice. Dang it! That is an unfortunate gap. I'm going to have to make sure that is not a thing. Not enough cargo space for all this ice, so that's just going to have to sit there. Cool. I want to be around here. Whoop. So I can build this bit that I started breaking and need to fix. Don't need these to go down lower. So let's lose that. And instead of this dropping down another layer, I'll just go continue the beam through just to nicely come up the other side. Because now that I've put all those O2H2 gen bits over on here, I'm thinking this section could just be some button panels. It's kind of annoying having to get out of the cockpit, change, get back in the cockpit just to change my paint. I wonder if I'm missing a shortcut. If anyone's aware of one that I'm missing, that would be nice to know. So let me know. Plan here is these slope bits, and I'm going to mirror it on the other side because it just gives a nice difference in the look, as well as looking genuinely like it's providing some structural integrity. Let's get rid of that one I accidentally placed. And ta-da! Once they're welded up, I think that'll look pretty good. Those two center pieces just going around the top cargo container, and then the outer ones going around the whole lot. And I'll do a very similar design down the front end to make it look similarly robust and industrial. I think I'm going to move this cockpit back a bit. It's so far forward that it's ended up in a really awkward position for me to be able to create supports for it. I was just looking at this side of this cargo container. If I want to match what I've done on the back end, I'll have a beam coming down like this. No, I won't. Dang it. I mean, I'll have it coming down there, it just won't be in this orientation. It would be in this orientation. And coming down like this. And I reckon if I move the cockpit so that that comes straight down on top of it, that'll look pretty nice. Because then the cockpit's kind of integrated into this structural component of it. Rather than out the front here, where it'd need its own separate supports, and then it feels like there's too many. It feels a bit too busy for me. So I'm going to grind it off, which is going to be annoying because I did set up a lot of the cockpit bar. Oh well, I'm glad I didn't set up any scripts on it yet. In fact, this would be easier to grind from underneath. Oh dear. Oh dear, that's going to be stuck on there for a while. Let's see if I can tip that thing off. I can do this. I really don't want that piece on there. If I go up high enough, and then do a quick little roll, I can crash into the ground and destroy nothing expensive. Wow, I got lucky then. I did make a massive dent in the ground, but somehow lose the bit too in that shenanigan. Huh. Okay, I got really lucky then. I thought for sure I was going to lose a battery, but all I've lost is a bunch of the I-beams. Can't believe I got that lucky. Look at that. Nope, wrong side. Look at that. Oh man, my luck at crashing into Omicron continues. I cannot believe it. Let's grab some steel plate and replace those bits that just saved my ship. Because I was being an idiot. There's no other way to put that. That was dumb. I should have gone much higher if I was going to try and do a flip like that. And industrial cockpit. Whoa, 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 whoa. No. Oh. I think that's lined up. Where I want it. Yeah. Yeah, I'd say that's about right. Because then this can come down onto the top. I could put a slope on that side, a slope on the other side, and it'll look nicely supported by a beam that's already part of the construction rather than its own independent one. I really like with the industrial cockpit putting a beam block here. I think it just nests in really nicely with the shape that's already there. And if I bring that shape back to about here, it should look okay, and I should be able to get away with that. Because from the outside that looks okay. There's not enough missing from that chunk up here for it to look weird, and from the other side I'll have enough stuff in the way that, again, it won't look odd. So that should work, and then I can get rid of the scaffold underneath. With the cockpit further back, I'm going to be able to see down a lot better to where the drills are going. I know a lot of people had mentioned that I should put the cockpit on a hinge or something so that I could tilt myself forward. I did somewhat like that idea. The thing that held me back from it was that I love the subgrid wheel control script. It's an amazing, amazing script. It's a bit twitchy because of the way that the programmable blocks have to send the instructions to the wheels. A bit more twitchy than normal control. So for something like this, I really like having that direct control over the wheels and that smoother acceleration and braking. So I quite like having the direct control. Plus, I kind of like having this all nestled in neatly here, whereas if I put this on a hinge, I would have to make a lot more space for it. I'm quite happy with it as is now. The rest of this should be buildable from that platform, I think. This one is, if this is one of those constructions that's just never quite all welded up, you know why. It just became too hard to get to everywhere. So glad this thing recharges quickly. So I need to place those blocks for my own sanity. I bet I've just come up here without the parts I need. Need to go that and that, which should allow me to place another one on the end here, which then goes up to get against the cockpit. Yeah, this works. Oh, yes, got it. Phew. That's gonna be annoying. Thought I'd place the railings first here because they're the bit that's going to be most awkward to fix if I can't place it. But I think how I've done it, I should be able to do this. And then just place these the easy way. And maybe one day I'll eventually be able to weld those blocks up, but that should be everything sorted. Obviously got to set up all the cockpits and the LCDs and stuff, but in terms of the build, this should be good. Let's go have a look. Make sure I haven't missed anything obvious. Oh. The space looks pretty nice. I'm happy with it. Obviously I'd like these to be welded up, but... Oh, oh, oh. Hey! Those can be. Whee! I really shouldn't be excited about that. That should just be working! Anyway. Cool. This is it. This is my little cockpit area. Let's go do another mining trip. Let's just check. Do any of the hydrogen tanks have hydrogen in them? Do any of the engines have hydrogen in them? Yes. The ones I've got off. Okay, we've used up all that ice. How are our batteries looking? The base batteries, the big ones. Up to a third. That's not too bad. That's not too bad at all. I still haven't decided on the tram's name. Oh no, wait, there is something. There is something. There's something I haven't done. And I need the Splat-form for it. I have not added a camera and a light for looking down into the mine hole. So let's go sort that out before I do this little trip, because I'd like to see what I'm doing a bit better. Oops. Did I break anything important? I don't think so. I really need to build this connection in a way that when I accidentally drop off like that, it doesn't break things. I think having the camera oriented that way is going to be preferable. Then we go with high-powered spotlight, drill cam. Cool. Alright, that was the thing that I needed to do. Hopefully we get a nice good angle on what we're going to do here. As it is now another morning later. This build has taken forever. Worth it though. Totally worth it. Alright, let's have a look at what we see from the drill cam. Ah, glorious. And with our drill cam lights on, nice and bright. This is what we want to see. Let's see if we can line this up perfectly on that little ridge there. Drills on. Reverse. Rotors down. Lights on. I don't think the lights are needed right now. Let's see if we can fill up one of these engines. Or all of these engines one at a time. This is definitely a better angle to watch this from. In terms of seeing what's going on properly. Oh, this is awesome. This is such a good view. I am very happy with how the tram has come together. And that means that next time I can go back to working on the base, and with the Splat-form, I'm going to be able to lay down the blocks really, really quickly. What I'm thinking I'm going to do is use the Splat-form to place everything down, and then use some of the time next week to build myself a welding ship. Something really compact. I'm thinking connector straight onto medium cargo, straight onto welder, and then just build something around that. Actually, you know what? No. This is Editor Splitsy talking. That's not what I'm going to be doing next week. Next week, I am going to fill up the panini with hydrogen. I am going to fly back to my main base, and I'm going to think up some ways to get some magnesium. Because the longer I stay here, the longer I risk a Reaver coming along. And with all this work that I've put into this, No, I can't risk it. I can't risk it. I can't keep staying here. I stayed here this long because I needed to get the drill working so that I could have enough hydrogen to make it worth flying back. Because I really wanted to bring that hydrogen back to the main base, take it off from the panini and store it safely at the main base. Potentially for power, but mainly for getting back up to space. But to do that sort of trip regularly, I need some military power. I need some ability to get rid of those bases. So that's going to be my deviation now. The drill tram is working. Awesome. Until I can get some guns onto this base, I don't think I should put more work into it. So, next week is filling up the panini, flying back, and trying to think of how I'm going to get to that magnesium mine that I haven't actually made as a mine yet. Maybe some sort of rover-based miner is where I'm kind of leaning toward. And then, once I've got that magnesium, building drones and building big attack craft rovers, something, so that I can start taking out those bases that make the paninis run high risk. So there's all that and plenty more to come. And I will see you then.